The Test of Phonological Awareness. The first edition of the Test of Phonological Awareness, or TOPA, was published in 1994 and was written by Brian R. Bryant and Joseph K. Torgerson. The test was published by ProEd Inc. The cost of the first edition of TOPA is unavailable. However, the cost of the most current edition is $250. There are two versions of the TOPA. One is TOPA Kindergarten, which has a target population of 5 to 6-year-olds, and the second is TOPA Early Elementary, which has a target population of 6 to 8-year-olds. The TOPA has three purposes. First is to identify children who might need reading help. Second is to screen children to judge their awareness of the sounds of letters. Third is to provide data for research. The components of the TOPA are the examiner manual, the student booklet, TOPA Kindergarten version, and TOPA Early Elementary version, the TOPA Profile Examiner record form, TOPA Kindergarten version, and TOPA Early Elementary version, as well as pencils for the student to fill out the booklet. The TOPA was standardized for each of the two versions of the test. The standardization size of the TOPA Kindergarten was 857 children, and the standardization size of the TOPA Early Elementary was 3,654 children. The TOPA Kindergarten standardization was 49.8% male and 50.2% female, while the TOPA Early Elementary was 51.1% male and 48.9% female. The age ranges of standardization for TOPA Kindergarten was 5 to 6-year-olds, and for TOPA Early Elementary was 6 to 8-year-olds. Both the TOPA Kindergarten and TOPA Early Elementary were standardized in the United States in 4 geographic regions: Northeast, North Central, South, and West. Both versions were also standardized in urban and rural locations. The racial characteristics for both test versions are white, non-white, and other. The ethnicities were African American, Hispanic, Native American, Oriental, and other. There was one test group used to demonstrate predictive validity that was low income. However, no other socioeconomic status information was specified. The TOPA accounted for 4 types of validity: construct validity, content validity, concurrent validity, and predictive validity. The TOPA accounted for 2 types of reliability: test-retest reliability and internal consistency. To administer the TOPA, it takes 15 to 20 minutes for each of the test versions. The instructions for administration of the TOPA are as follows. TOPA can be administered in a one-on-one setting to a small group of students or to an entire class of children. The examiner should be experienced in school testing administration, and the examiner should be clear and confident when giving directions to the students. The subtests for TOPA Kindergarten measure the initial sounds of a word. When administering the TOPA, subtest 1, initial sound same, the examiner will state the stimulus word as well as the student will see the stimulus picture. In this example, the stimulus is ball. The student will then see the 3 response choices. The student's job is to identify the response choice that has the same initial sound as the stimulus. In subtest 2, initial sound different, the student is presented orally and visually with 4 response choices. The student's job is to identify the one response choice that has a different initial sound than all of the others. There are 10 items on subtest 1 and 10 items on subtest 2. Subtest for TOPA Early Elementary work with the ending sounds of words. Subtest 1, ending sound same, requires the student to hear and look at the stimulus picture, as well as look at the response choices and identify the word that has the same ending sound as the stimulus. For this example, the stimulus is boat, and the response choices are coat, book, and clock. Coat would be the correct answer. In subtest 2, endings sound different. The student is given 4 response choices and is to find the one response choice that has a different ending sound than all of the others. There are 10 items on subtest 1, and there are 10 items on subtest 2. The scores for the TOPA were reported in the form of raw scores, percentile ranks, standard scores, and age equivalent scores. The scores were presented in charts. For TOPA kindergarten, the charts were every 6 months from 5 years 0 months to 6 years 11 months. For the TOPA early elementary, the scores were every year from 6 years 0 months to 8 years 11 months. The use of the TOPA is to help identify children in need of extra support for reading. It allows educators and professionals to track a student's progress when making use of both the TOPA kindergarten as well as the TOPA early elementary for the same group of students. In order to prepare to use the TOPA, an administrator should practice being clear and explicit when giving directions, as well as practice being clear with their articulation when expressing test words so as not to push the students to the wrong answer. The limitations of the TOPA are that there are only 20 test questions for each test version. Additionally, the TOPA kindergarten only measures phonological awareness at the beginning of a word. The TOPA early elementary only measures phonological awareness at the end of a word. This makes the test seem very narrow as it only looks for one part of the word in each of the test versions. Administering the TOPA, the administrator should be cautious of how they arrange the students so that they do not cheat, as well as monitor students' interactions with one another during the test. The administrator should be consistent with all test groups when giving directions. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the test of phonological awareness.